This week, we're talking about transplanting plant starts or sowing seeds. Welcome everyone to this week's Garden Journal. Just want to catch up with what we had going on last week. I have repaired and reset this in-ground garden bed that we have here with our cattle paddle trellises. And we got it all nice and leveled out and put in, got some new soil put in there and everything, so we're all ready to transplant out some plants to get in there. We'll be sowing some seeds, and then like I said, we weeded this one out here, and we've got these onions. I think I'm gonna harvest them out, and then we will plant in some new onion starts that I've got for this year as well too. And also, wouldn't you know it, we continue to have trouble with the neighbor's fence there. It's fallen, well actually it was falling in this way. We just kind of had to push it back, get it off of our trellises here and everything. But I'm actually kind of worried. We've got our tulips that are just now starting to pop out some flower heads there. I'm just worried this fence is going to end up scooping them up if it keeps falling any further, but we'll hope for the best there. And then again to fence down on this end here, but we've got all of our big giant grow pots here. We added some compost and everything to the top of them, getting them ready. I think what I'm going to do is build some tower trellises, some wood tower trellises. So we'll do that here in the next coming weeks as we get ready to start planting them out for the season. Then on the other side, I cleaned this all up and cut back all of our different herbs for our herb and flower garden that we've got here. We layered in some new compost and soil and kind of cleaned out our fountain here and got it all reset. So you can see we got some different mints growing in these different containers. We've got some chives. We've got some lavender over on the other side over there, as well as some sage. And then we'll put in a few more other things too and kind of complete and fill that all out. But that's pretty nice so far. And another thing too, really liking the fact that all of our fruiting trees are starting to bloom. So we'll be seeing some really cool flowers. Here is our peach tree. And over on the other side there, we've got our apple, and we've got a pear as well over there too. And in the back patio, we've got some more apple trees. So today I'm out in our various garden spaces and I'm sowing out some seeds as well as transplanting some plant starts that I got at one of my local nurseries. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the things that you would consider whether or not you're going to directly sow seeds or transplant out some plant starts. And one of the first things you might consider is your experience level. Now, if you've got some experience in the garden and you've been growing for a while, then planting out and directly sowing seeds is probably something you're already pretty used to. Myself, I do quite a bit of seed growing anymore. I do transplant out some plant starts for some of those plants and varieties that still present some sort of a challenge to me, because some seeds and some plants are kind of challenging to start from seeds. There's some pretty easy ones like radishes and peas and beans and all of that, that if you're a beginner gardener, you can go ahead and jump right into trying those out. But if you are pretty new to the garden, planting out transplants is one of those ways to get some really good first successes. Now, one of the other things to consider about sowing out seeds directly into your garden too is the price. Now, for the same price that you can buy some of these plant starts, you could buy a whole package of seeds where you can get up to hundreds of different seeds and hundreds of different plants right from one package for the same price that you're going to get one plant start. Now, another thing about seeds though too is that you can get so many more varieties than what you're going to find at your local nursery when you're purchasing seeds through various different seed catalogs or seed stands that you find. There's lots and lots of different things when it comes to each individual type of plant. Many different varieties that you can get when it comes to growing from seeds. But again, that also depends on kind of the experience level. And if you're a beginner garden, like I said already, you want to kind of get some successes right off the bat. And that's why it might be a really good idea to consider growing from plant starts, because those nurseries and your local nurseries, they've already done all of that hard work of planting out all the different seeds and getting them all started up. And then another thing to consider is timing when it comes down to a lot of things. When you're directly sowing seeds, it depends kind of what time of year it is, whether or not you're going to get out and get some of that done. And again, with plant starts, they've already taken care of all of that. And if you're just a little bit late, or one of those other things that you really want to consider when you're doing seeds or plant starts is how busy are you too. I'm a pretty busy person. I still find a little bit of time to try to get some of my seeds sown out, but sometimes I'm running just a little bit late on some things, so I'll go ahead and go to the nursery and get some of those plant starts just to get them out there so I don't have to worry about growing seeds and getting them started from seed. One of the ones that I really like to do though too, and another thing to consider is when it comes to timing, is growing your seeds indoors, starting them out indoors under lights and all of that. And those present some other challenges you got to think about too as well. When you sow them out indoors, you need to make sure you get your light just right, and just right up above your seed starts and your plant starts, because it's an artificial light and you don't want them stretching out or getting leggy on you. And so I kind of limit just a couple of things that I do to get a head start of the season. I'll do the tomatoes indoors. I'll do my peppers for sure indoors, which you've already got those sown out and under our lights. But when it comes to things like lettuces and greens and those cold season crops, I prefer to actually just get those seeds into the ground directly when the time is right in the season. Now for me, again, one of the things that's really a challenge for me are brassicas. I really like to get some cabbages and some broccoli growing in my garden, but I have the hardest time getting them started from seed and being successful. And that might have something to do with timing as well too. So I do really like to just go out and get some really good locally started plant starts to transplant out into the garden when it comes to cabbages and broccoli, so that I can hopefully guarantee myself some success, because again, they've done all of the work for me. Also, when it comes to some varieties of things that you might want to grow in your garden, they probably don't do very well when it comes to transplanting and growing from a plant start. Things like your root crops, radishes, beets, carrots are probably best done directly sown from seed into your garden. And I'd even suggest maybe those are some of those first things you should start with if you're a beginner gardener as well too. Some of the other things that don't transplant very well are squash and cucumbers, things like that too. But you want to wait until you get into the warmer season after your first frost day to be able to directly transplant those into your garden spaces as well. And you'll also find some of those in your garden section of your different local nurseries and all of that. And I really suggest when it comes to them to either get them right directly into the garden if you purchase those plant transplants, and don't let them sit in those containers very long. So immediately get them right into your garden, or directly sow some seeds as well too when it comes to doing that. other things I want to talk about real quick too when it comes to transplanting plants and purchasing your plants at the local nurseries is that similar to what we have here with the lettuce, I ended up with a lot of different plants that are all in one container. Or with this cabbage here, I've got 2 different plants that are in here. And again, you might be thinking, hey, you know, I've got 2 for the price of 1 or 3 for the price of 1. Or again, with these lettuces, there were probably about 5 or 6 different plants all growing together and bunching together right at the base of the roots here. And when it comes to that, it's not recommended that you go in there and try to separate these plants out. I mean, you can, you're just not going to get a very strong plant out of that because of disturbing the root system so much. So I know it's tough to do and it's hard to think about, but look for your stronger, bigger plant out of the pot and then just pinch off the other one. And then you could try to, you know, if you pull some roots out of it, you could try to maybe put this in another pot and see how well it does. But what you're going to do is you're going to give this plant a lot better chance of growing stronger and giving you, in this case, a big, large cabbage. Or in these greens and lettuces here, we'll get larger heads of lettuce with those. And you can also take all of these leftover greens here, wash them off, and add them to a salad with your meal that night. What are you doing, boy? Huh? What's going on, George? How you doing? Yeah? How you doing, Dexter? I haven't seen you in a little while. Where you been? How you doing, boy? Huh? It's good to see you. Now in the case of these peas here that we're transplanting out, we do have a couple of different plants that are in them. But with peas, I'm going to go ahead and plant those all together. And I'm just going to kind of loosen up without really trying to break any of these roots. We just want to loosen them up just a little bit and then plant them out. And these should grow and climb up our trellis just fine like that. And also with onions, really resilient plants are not going to also have a problem with trying to be separated. We just kind of shake them all loose. Just kind of gently shake them a bit, loosen up their roots from each other. And those should do fine in transplanting like that. planted out right here in our alleyway garden beds with our cattle panel trellises. We've got peas that should be filling those trellises out right here up underneath. Down the middle, got some broccoli. And then right up front, we've got some Walla Walla onions. So hopefully here, in the next few weeks, those peas will be climbing up our trellis. We'll be getting some big crowns of broccoli. And then a little bit later in the season, we'll have some nice onion harvests. We already did get our first harvest of the season. Some of these red bunching onions. Those are gonna be delicious. So there we go. We've got all of our plants all transplanted into our alleyway beds here. Those should be growing along here really nicely in the coming weeks, as well as those seeds that we've got sown out in our back patio elevated beds. All of those seeds should be germinating real soon and popping up out of the soil. And we'll have some fresh greens and fresh veggies coming right out of our garden beds real soon. Nothing like getting good fresh food right out of your own garden. And one last thing I want to share about buying plant transplants is I suggest buying locally and buying organic. Go to check out some of your local farms, nurseries, farmers markets even. You'll get some of those local people who are helping produce some of your really good vegetable starts for your garden. And those you can be sure are organic, and you can be sure too that they're going to grow really well in your area by buying them locally. You want to avoid those big box stores and buying the plant transplants that they have there. They may look really nice right on the shelf, but they probably look nice because they're feeding them with synthetic fertilizers, and I just don't suggest that for your garden, as I like to grow everything nice and organically here in my garden. Plus, some of those big box stores are going to be selling you things that aren't really going to grow well in your area. So you got to be really wary of what you're purchasing when it comes to those sort of sources. So buy locally, buy organically, and you're going to be sure some great things coming out of your garden. Now that should do it for us this week. I'm really glad that all of you have joined up with me here. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll be notified of our upcoming videos. And be sure to share all of our videos with your garden friends out there. And come join us on Saturday mornings for our Let's Get Growing live cast here on the Urban Gardener channel. That's at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturdays, where we're going to have some really great guests with us, joining us to talk all about gardening and talking about some of our great garden stories. I look forward to seeing all of you there. You can check that out also on our Let's Get Growing.live website to see all of our upcoming episodes. So I'll see all of you next week. Got our in bed. Oh boy, can I even talk today? Just nice and properly. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. So, all right, we don't need so all right. Let's try that again. Back, right up neath. Our cattle paddle. Come on, I can't even talk today. What's going on? But if you're, again, busy like me and you ain't have the time, also try out some seeds if you're a new gardener. A few different varieties, as we see. I seriously can't talk today. I can't talk, George. Yeah, I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna have to try this out again.